At Columbia University in New York, it's a typical day, yet every student can sense Dr. Alexander Hartigan's presence in the corridors. The doctor, however, forgets a date with Emma, his lover. Hartigan is a dreamer due to his concentration with his profession. Even though this is his first year as an associate professor at the university, he wants students to succeed and not become puppets in society, return home. In preparation for his meeting with his colleague David Philby, who is only sad to be a bit more conservative and not obsess over his inventions and scientific ideas, he gets ready in his lab, just before they were scheduled to arrive. Although the owner of a broken-down car prototype offers Hartigan a ride, he wants to continue with his date despite some hard times. Now standing at Emma's side, Hartigan struggles to speak about wanting to propose marriage but manages to do so and give her the ring, which she accepts with joy. However, a thief who emerges from the jungle and demands everything abruptly ends their evening. Although Emma tried to save her ring, the thief demanded it. After a short battle, the most sad consequence happens when Emma is fatally shot. Alexander Hartigan's obsession with science is worse than ever 4 years later, which disturbs the housekeeper Mrs. Watchett and Philby, who urges him to get out of his trance and resume his life. After being driven away by the doctor's sadness, Philby later reveals his greatest creation, a time machine that he would create to win back his love. Going back to the night he lost, the machine turns out to be completely functional. Emma Hartigan is overjoyed to see her alive and well in front of him once again, but because of what happened the first night, he chooses to leave the woodland and go straight towards the city. During his stroll, Hartigan utterly disregards the prototype automobile as it passes him once again since he is solely focused on Emma. He just advises her to go home and remain there, despite the fact that she detects something off about him. He says a few last, heartfelt words to her, saving her from death at night and saying goodbye to the rest of his former life. Hartigan rushes to buy Emma the flowers he promised but was unable to deliver before departing. However, a vehicle accident happens. The defeated doctor, who knows that destiny does not want him to be with Emma, is bewildered rather than sad. So he makes another journey through time to figure out how to handle his predicament. This time to 2030, when people have even managed to colonize and settle on the moon and New York. When Hartigan visits the public library, he encounters Fox, a holographic assistant who professes to be the world's foremost expert. Hartigan is astounded by this and asks the doctor for access to information about time travel. However, since this has become science fiction and even the doctor is listed among those associated with time travel, mostly novelists, the doctor decides to go even further into the future, to the year 2037. When a catastrophe has left the world in ruins. The individual asking them what occurred was bewildered and the rescuers sought to assist him. It seems that the moon disintegrated as a result of the destruction of the moon colonies, which had a significant impact on Earth. In his haste to go back to the time machine, the doctor mistakenly charts a route into the far future, when millennia have passed and the Earth has undergone significant alteration. His trip comes to an end in the year 802.701 when he is saved by some native people who would take care of him and feed him. The whole tribe is taken aback by his look when he gets dressed and meets one of his rescuers for the first time. Aboriginal child Hartigan learns that they live in a village of huts up on the mountainside. One of them, a girl, claims to speak the stone language and is able to understand him. Everyone learns it in childhood, yet with time, everyone seems to forget what they learned. The girl disagrees with the village leader, who believes that they should toss the foreigner into the river to get rid of him. Hartigan says that he is from the past, which the girl finds difficult to comprehend. She introduces herself as Mora and persuades the other travelers that the stranger is a foolish wanderer who fell and banged his head while traveling. At night, Hartigan teaches the traditions of his former society to Kalin, the younger brother of the Mora. They allow them to sleep with him, and Mora tells him that their parents left the location saddened by how much the world had changed up to that point in time, yet captivated by it. He looks up into the sky and sees the moon obliterated, surrounded by a thin ring of space debris. The doctor questioned her about why they removed their boats from the lake at night, assuming they do so out of concern about theft. The next day, Hartigan observes how the tribe has preserved pieces of the towns as a memento of the previous civilization. When Mara inquires about his motivation for going back in time, he replies that it was to comprehend why the past cannot be altered. When they arrive in a field of mills, Kalin greeted them with excitement and a desire to learn more about New York and its former inhabitants. As soon as Mora and Hartigan arrive at the time machine, She asks the doctor to send her little brother into the past, adopting a terrified demeanor. He finds it puzzling, but distant cries and roars alert them to the village's peril. As the shouts become louder, they discover the whole hamlet fleeing the scene. When Hartigan arrives, he comes upon a monster that resembles a humanoid monkey and flees for cover. More monsters soon appear and begin tossing darts at the people. One of the darts manages to strike Mara. The monsters emerging from under the earth encircle them. They use superhuman strength and ancient hunting techniques to gag and kidnap a number of village residents. Kaelin is attacked by one of the creatures, and Hartigan saves him. The doctor is dangling from one of the mills when a monster grabs him by the feet and a pursuit ensues. After considerable fight, the beast is thrown to the ground from a distance of several meters, where it briefly loses consciousness. When it awakens, it gets back up and chases at the doctor, pulling him down next to it. After using fire to scare the beast away and escape via tunnels concealed in the sand, Kaelin steps in to save the situation. When Hartigan gets there, he witnesses Mara being taken captive and transported to the creature's lair. The villagers don't comprehend the doctor's plan since, in their opinion, this is how life in their town is supposed to be when he suggests going to the rescue of the captive. The village chief explains to Hartigan that those who fight are the first to be caught when he criticizes the locals' lack of protection. The child just says that after the monsters catch others, there is nothing more to discuss, indicating that they were the Morlocks, as he approaches Kaelin and urges him to take action. Despite this, he discovers a location where the spirit well and visits there at night with a heavy heart. The location turns out to be a room filled with artifacts from the past, including multiple holograms of Vox, who Hartigan is familiar with from his trip to the museum. Despite being software, Vox no longer receives automatic updates. According to the data he has gathered, there are now two dominating species on Earth, one of which lives on the surface and the other in the deep. Vox has developed a gloomy mindset through the years and discusses how daunting it is to have access to all accessible information about the world without being able to take action. He informs him that he knows about the Morlocks from a villager who was able to flee and remained there chatting, and he even recalls his previous run-in with Hartigan. The hologram responds to the doctor's request for the truth by cautioning him against the potential ugliness of the information. Vox informs him that he could discover answers towards the east of the forest, where his old buddy is said to have come from. The skull monument from his dreams is there as he travels. Hartigan declares that he will rescue Mara on his own, and Kaelin informs him that the Morlocks also seized his watch, which the doctor does not comprehend. He descends a cliff till he comes to a cave's entrance. He discovers intricate mechanics within that are unfit for a tribe like the ones on the surface. After following a couple of them through a network of tunnels, he discovers that the aliens have their own subterranean metallurgical civilization. Hartigan eventually finds himself in a butcher's room after an unintentional pull of a lever. He is discovered by additional locks after falling into a water well with human corpses, and they capture him and imprison him in a basement. Unexpectedly large for a basement, Mara is discovered in a cage with a person seated on a throne in front of them after descending several steps. The figure is the tribe's leader, the Uber Warlock, who reveals that after the moon was destroyed, the human species was split into two groups, those above and those below the numerous locks. He further reveals that he is just utilizing his telepathic abilities at that precise time to prevent the additional locks from consuming the food supplies, as they would do so without it in a couple of months. The Uber Morlock analyzes Hartigan's recollections and accuses him of being a hypocrite for disparaging their way of life while his time travel is just as out of the ordinary. He learns from the Uber Morlock that he cannot alter the past since he built the time machine in response to Emma's death with the intention of using it to save her. There would be no mechanism producing a temporal paradox if Emma was still alive. Offering Hartigan the time machine, the monster discloses its existence. The physician also requested his watch. Hartigan, though, tugs him in the direction of beginning a fight right then. In the midst of the conflict, he turns on the time machine, but it is no match for the commander's greater physical might. In order to divert the Ubermortlock and make him dangle by his neck outside of the machine's range, Hartigan smashes the valve. Outside of the machine, time goes by and the leader quickly turns to dust. When Hartigan is safe, he observes how the machines are now reading over 635 million, with a world that has been decimated and is governed by additional locks, and he then comes to a choice. Backtracking to the year 800,000 using his own watch to sabotage the time travel process in order to save Mara. making it out safely. He attempts to escape the tunnels with Mara as they face the last remaining locks. A couple of the creatures narrowly avoid being aged and reduced to dust by the machine's time wave. Hartigan has lost his machine, which Mara regrets, but he doesn't care since he has moved over his history. As time goes on, the tribe now enjoys their newfound tranquility by listening to old Vox stories for entertainment. Mora and Kaelin are told by Hartigan about his former lab and about Philby and Mrs. Those who are seeing it in a parallel memory are happy that their buddy has finally found happiness. Explains to Mrs. he and his wife are going to require a new housekeeper, so they are giving her the position. At least until Mr. Hartigan comes back, she accepts it. In respect of his buddy, Philby exits the home while taking off his top hat. Please subscribe and enable alerts so you can see more content like this. I appreciate you coming.